Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maureen O'Connor from Quilters Heaven in Northbrook, Illinois, and I am the Opinionated Quilter. Today's episode, number 126, is a dual episode. I'm going to compare with jelly roll patterns, purchasing a jelly roll or choosing your own fabric, and we're going to give you an update on the quilted coat. Stay tuned for today's giveaway. It's a really good one, at least in my opinion. The quilted coat. I have behind me the back. And you may remember this episode. We showed you the Scrap Crazy template set, which is what I wanted to try to see how it went. And if you recall, I really liked it. The templates have cutting off the dog ears so everything meets up nicely. It was not too hard to get these together and get some of these points to meet. Now, as I'm here, this is something I try to avoid when I lay these things out. I can't believe I had these three greens this close together as I laid it out on the table. I think I had to have screwed it up from picking it up from the table, going to the sewing machine, and coming back. I have a couple worse places in the front of the coat, but it got to the point, and I'm sure you all experienced this. Sometimes you just don't want to rip one more time. And that's where I got with this to try to figure it out before I quilted it. It would have broken me. So I just left it as it is. I think it's going to be fine. It's wild, but it's a store sample. So now that I've made the pieces, I'm going to turn it over to Carol to cut it out and make it. And I want to talk a little bit about the pattern. I told you about the pattern the last time. It's from By Hand in London. It's called Nerissa Quilted Coat and Jacket. And we found it online and we printed it out, and it's from London. So it's got different kinds of paper and things than we have here. So it's a coat, so the pattern piece is big. You can download the pattern onto 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper and then tape it all together. That didn't sound fun to me. So I thought, well, I'll take it to a copy shop and have them print it out for me. So I walk in and with the pattern downloaded onto my stick, and she did not know what A0 paper was. I think this was at Office Max, Office Depot. And so she quoted me a price to print it out using poster paper, which I don't need poster paper. It's a pattern. Patterns used to come on tissue paper. I want something thin. So she quoted me a price, and my prices are not going to be exact because I didn't write them down. It was around $88 to print out that pattern. Well, I wasn't going to do that. So I go to FedEx, and the fella there knew immediately what this A0 paper was, but they don't use it, they don't have it. So he had an option to print it out for 40 something. I don't remember if it was 44 or 48, somewhere in that neighborhood. That was still too much for me. So now I'm thinking, what am I going to do? There's only two things in life you have to know how to do. One is turn it on and off, and the other is Google. I Googled printing out patterns, and about 8 different options came up. And I found the one that I used. It's called PDF plotting, and I couldn't have been more happy. First of all, some of the places said your pattern will come folded and flat. Well, I didn't really want that. This is how my pattern came, rolled up in a box like this. Now, I know you can't touch the fabric on screen, but it's nice, thin paper. It's like perfect for a pattern. I just couldn't have been more happy. And the price, are you ready for this? The price was, I think, a minimum of $12 or $12.50 to print, and then about the same for shipping. So it was $25. That's still some money. Some people may choose to print out on 8.5 by 11 and tape together. I found that 25 was reasonable for me to have it printed out, but I wasn't going to go into the 40s or 80s to have the pattern printed out. So now that this is made, Carol will get on it and make it, and when it's done, we'll show it to you. I have seen recently controversy on taking old quilts and making them into garments, and there are some people who just think it's the worst thing to do in the world, and there's other people, and I think the great majority of the comments that I read were, why not use it? Why let it sit unused? Uh, make it into something that makes somebody happy is all good. This is why we made our own, is because we didn't want to jump into the controversy of using an old quilt. But I really now feel like it's really okay to do. A few years ago, I took a little wall hanging that I thought was too small for anything. It was too small almost to use. I cut it up and made it into a Christmas tree skirt that my niece loves today. So I guess I'm on the side of it's okay to use a quilt, but in our case, we started from the beginning and made our quilted fabric to start with. Whatever you like to do is good. Okay, that's it for the quilted coat until I show you it finished. Now let's talk about Jelly Rolls 2.5-inch strip patterns. I have a customer who is a new quilter, and she has made the same Jelly Roll pattern. She came in the other day to pick out fabric. I believe it was for her 4th. And she has a specific idea in mind. She has a color scheme or theme. Well, you're not going to find in a 2.5-inch strip pack, as most of you know, Jelly Roll is the trademarked name of Moda that first made popular the 2.5-inch strip packs. All the other manufacturers that have pre-cuts have 2.5-inch strips, but they have a different name. So Jelly Roll is kind of the Kleenex of tissue paper. But at any rate, um, she had in mind this theme of a Peruvian blanket, because the baby she's making the quilt for's dad is Peruvian, and he's passionate about his culture and his ethnicity, so she wanted to honor that. Well, you're not going to find a Jelly Roller 2.5-inch strip pack that is Peruvian colors, at least none that I'm aware of. So she and her girlfriend, who is also making the same pattern, came in to pick out fabric. And they had so much fun. And that is what has inspired me to put this part of the video in. Let's talk about the pros and cons. You have a Jelly Roll pattern. You can purchase a 2.5-inch strip pack. So what are your benefits? It's pre-cut. You don't have to take the time to cut them. All your fabric matches. It's either from a specific line of fabric, or it's colors from a manufacturer's, all different colors of the same fabric. For instance, Michael Miller makes a fabric called Cocoa. You can get a 2.5-inch strip roll of all the different colors of cocoa. So all your fabric goes together. The fabric's chosen for you. You don't have to take the time to pick them out. And you get generally a large variety of prints. In my cocoa example, it's the same print, just different colors. A lot of times, like I said, it's a line of fabric and it's all the prints in that line of fabric. What's the negative with a 2.5-inch strip pack? Many of them, and not all of them, mind you, some do not, but many of them have pinked edges. And if you open those packs with pinked edges, you know you get all those fuzzy dots of fabric all over you. Some people find that the quilts turn out too matchy-matchy because all the fabric is perfectly matching. They don't have any zingers in there. Negative to get your fabric chosen for you is you don't get to choose your own fabric. Like I said, these ladies had so much fun picking their fabrics. And then sometimes you have pieces in your pack that either you just don't like that fabric, or there's nothing wrong with the fabric, it just doesn't work in the pattern that you're using. And I think this is the biggest thing, the biggest negative. They are at a premium price. You pay more for the fabric in a 2.5-inch strip pack than you would if you bought fabric off the bolt. Give me a second and we'll switch out the whiteboard and show you the pick your own fabric. Now, rather than purchase a 2.5-inch strip pack, you can buy fabric off the bolt. What are the positives of that? No pinked edges, which we already said were messy. You can choose exactly what you want. You don't choose any fabric that you don't care for or won't work in your pattern. You can use scraps or leftovers to fill in. You may have a piece of fabric that you can get 2 or 3 strips out of that then you can buy less off the bolt than you would if you bought a prepackaged jelly roll or 2.5-inch strip pack. So that makes it that it can be less costly. What are the negatives? You have to cut your own. A lot of people don't like cutting. Takes time to choose the fabric, but I call that fun. I enjoy pulling different bolts out, laying it down with what you have. Does this match? Do you like this one? No, we put it back. I think that's fun. And in the case of choosing your own, you usually have less variety. And the reason you have less variety is because of minimum cuts of fabric. When in a jelly roll pack, you have 1 2.5-inch strip of fabric in there of a specific print. When you go to the fabric store, you can't say, I'll take 1 2.5-inch strip. Our minimum cut is 1/4. I know some places are higher. I think some places may still cut 1/8. We don't. So you will have less variety of fabric unless you buy way more than you need to get more variety. You could always buy way more and make 2. That's always an option if you want to get more variety. So how much fabric do you need to buy to equal a jelly roll? Most have 40 strips in it. So if you're going to buy 1/4 yards of fabric, you can get 3 2.5-inch strips from that 1/4 yard. So to get 40, you need 14 fabrics. But if you want to pick a few less, if you buy 1/3 yards of fabric, you can get 4 2.5-inch strips. So you just need 10 different fabrics. And again, you get exactly what you want. You get the theme you want, you get the variety you want, and you get all fabric that you like. And again, I always like that you can stick in, you might buy 8 or 9 fabrics and you might have 2 at home that you've got something left that will still work. So I like the option of buying your own. Now, it does take time to choose your fabrics, but if that's part of quilting and if you enjoy it, that's good, well time spent. Okay, that's the episode. Let's get to the giveaway. The winner of last week's giveaway, the Carpenter Star, is Nurse Kate, 6772. Please email me your address to quiltersheaveninc@gmail.com so I can get the piece top out to you. Now this week's giveaway is a little different. It's not a piece top. I have this bag of pieces. They all have numbers on them. I think it goes up to 11 or 12. They are leftovers that one of my customers gave to me. She made a braid quilt, and her pieces look like this. They all have this pink square on the end, and actually some of the pieces in the bag have the other color and then the small square in the bag. I haven't counted any of them. I don't know how big a piece they'll make, but it was a braid quilt that she made, and it's just a whole bag of them, whole pile of them. So what I'm going to do is get the flat rate box from the post office, the medium flat rate box, and after I get these all stuffed into it, I will fill it as tight as I can, as full as I can, with scraps that we have from the shop that I think somebody would like. So if you would like to win this scrap box, you need to like, comment, and subscribe. And in the comment, write scrap box, and you will be entered to win. Now, these prepaid boxes only go to U.S. addresses. I apologize to my overseas viewers, but it's just the way it has to be. This is an affordable way that I can give this away to you. So enter and good luck. And I want to thank all of you for watching. I really appreciate all of you, and keep the comments coming. And until next time, happy sewing.